Take two people, same salary, same job, same starting point. One is American, one is European. 30 years later, they are in completely different financial universes. The American followed every rule, worked hard, got promotions, bought the house, drove the car, and somehow ended up with $180,000 in total debt and $94,000 saved for retirement. The European? Same salary, same 30 years, $380,000 in investments, zero consumer debt, and 6 weeks of paid vacation every single year. Same income, completely different outcome. And the difference has nothing to do with luck, intelligence, or even discipline. It has everything to do with philosophy. America taught you that spending is success, that a bigger house means you made it, that a new car means you're winning, that buying things is how you celebrate. Europe figured out something different. Wealth isn't performed, it's protected, and the habits they use to protect it are so simple they feel almost insulting. 10 habits, 10 countries, 10 philosophies that built generational wealth quietly, without side hustles, without crypto, and without anyone on social media knowing about it. And before you say, well, Europeans have free healthcare and education, so it's different, stay with me. Because these habits work at every income level, with or without government support. Americans at every income level have tried these habits, and the results are always the same. Because the habit isn't the strategy, the philosophy underneath the habit is the strategy. Let's start with the country that basically invented the concept of not spending money you don't have. The average American carries $6,500 in credit card debt at a 22% interest rate. That's $1,430 a year, gone, before you buy a single thing. The average German has zero credit card debt. Not because they earn more, because debt in Germany carries a social stigma so powerful it functions like a financial immune system. 70% of all retail transactions in Germany are still made in cash. In America, cash is almost considered inconvenient. In Germany, cash is a philosophy. There's even a word for it, Schuldenfreiheit. It means debt freedom. And in Germany, it's not a financial goal. It's a moral value, a source of genuine pride. And here's why this matters financially. Every dollar in consumer debt you carry is working against you. Every dollar out of debt works for you. Germany chose the second option as a culture, and it shows. Habit 1. Schuldenfreiheit. Debt freedom as a cultural identity. Not a target you reach, a standard you refuse to fall below. The practical application is simple. Before any purchase, Germans ask one question. Can I pay for this with money I already have? If the answer is no, they don't buy it. That single question eliminates 90% of impulse purchases before they happen. No app required. No willpower required. Just a rule? Now apply this to cars. Americans finance 85% of all new vehicle purchases. Germans finance 34%. That gap is tens of thousands of dollars per person over a lifetime. A $35,000 car financed at 7% over 60 months costs you $41,000 by the time you're done. The same $35,000 invested instead becomes $51,000 in 5 years at average market returns. Schuldenfreiheit doesn't mean you never buy nice things. It means you never pay interest on nice things. That distinction is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The German approach to debt freedom isn't about sacrifice. It's about sequence. Save first, buy when ready, never let a bank profit from your impatience. Start here. List every debt you carry right now. Credit cards, car loans, personal loans, every single one. That list is the beginning of your Schuldenfreiheit plan. Now let's go north, to a country where the concept of enough isn't a limitation. It's the entire financial philosophy. Sweden, and the word is Lagom. Lagom, a Swedish word with no direct English translation. It means just the right amount. Not too much, not too little, exactly enough. And Swedes apply it to everything, including money. Sweden's personal savings rate is 16%. America's is 4%. That 12-point gap is not a coincidence. It is Lagom applied to spending, living at 84% of your capacity on purpose. In America, when you get a raise, the first instinct is to upgrade. Bigger apartment, better car, nicer restaurant. In Sweden, the first instinct is to save the difference. This is called lifestyle inflation. and it is the single most powerful destroyer of wealth in America. Every time your income grows and your spending grows with it, you're running in place. Lagom breaks lifestyle inflation by treating every raise not as permission to spend more, but as an opportunity to save more. The lifestyle stays, the difference goes to work. A teacher named Sarah in Ohio started practicing Lagom after reading about it. She committed to saving 100% of every raise for 2 years. In 2 years, her investment account went from $8,000 to $31,000. Same job, same city, just a different rule for what happens to the difference. That's Lagom. Not enough is not okay. Too much is not okay either. Just right builds wealth. The rule is simple. Every time your income increases, your savings rate increases by at least half the difference. If you get a 10% raise, your savings rate goes up at least 5%. The Swedes didn't invent this because they're special. They invented it because their culture refused to let status drive spending, and that single refusal built one of the highest savings rates in the developed world. Now let's go to the Netherlands, where 23 million bicycles exist in a country of 17 million people, and where that fact represents something much bigger than transportation. Habit 3. The Dutch concept of utility over status. In the Netherlands, owning a car is not a marker of success. It's considered slightly inconvenient and possibly wasteful. The average American car costs $10,000 to $12,000 per year when you include insurance, gas, maintenance, and financing. That's $1,000 per month for the privilege of driving, $1,000 a month. Invested from age 25 to 65 at average market returns becomes $3.5 million. The average American spends that on a depreciating asset that loses value from the moment it leaves the lot. Now the Dutch don't tell you to never own a car. They teach you to ask, does this purchase serve my life, or does my life serve this purchase? That question is the antidote to status spending, because most status spending doesn't serve your life. It serves the image of your life you're trying to project to others. The Dutch call this doe maar gewoon. Act normal. Don't show off. Don't overspend to impress. Just live your actual life with what you actually need. Applied to your finances, utility over status means asking 3 questions before any major purchase. Do I need this? Does it improve my actual daily life? Or does it improve how I look to others? If the honest answer to the third question is yes, that's your signal, not a judgment, just information. A family in Denver applied this framework for 1 year. They identified $14,000 in annual spending driven by status rather than utility. They redirected it to investments. In 5 years, that decision was worth $85,000. Stay with me, because habit 4 is the one that might make Americans the most uncomfortable, because it challenges something we've been told our entire lives about work. Habit 4. France. Time is wealth. The French work a 35-hour week by law. They receive 5 weeks of mandatory paid vacation, and their GDP per hour worked is nearly identical to America's. Read that again. France produces nearly the same economic output per hour as America, while working 20 to 25% fewer hours. Productivity doesn't require exhaustion. But here's the financial angle that nobody talks about. Burnout has a direct financial cost. Stressed workers spend 17% more per month than workers who feel in control. Every hour of overwork is also an hour of overspending. The French protect their time the way Americans protect their careers. And in doing so, they protect their money, because time spent recovering from burnout costs money. Time spent living doesn't. The financial application of time is wealth is this. Guard your off hours like an asset. Because every hour of genuine rest is an hour you don't spend on exhaustion-driven purchases. And the second application, negotiate your paid time off like you negotiate your salary. Americans leave an average of 768 million vacation days unused every year. That's money you already earned and never collected. 768 million days. If the average vacation day is worth $200 in salary terms, Americans collectively leave $153 billion on the table every year because they're afraid to take the time they earned. France doesn't have this problem, because time off isn't optional in French culture. It's mandatory. It's not a reward for working hard enough. It's a right, and they treat it like one. Take your time off, all of it, every year, not because you deserve a break, Because not taking it is leaving money on the table and energy in a deficit that costs you more than you realize. Now let's cross the North Sea to Denmark, the happiest country in the world for 14 years running, and the country that found the cheapest possible way to generate genuine joy. Habit 5. Hygge, a Danish word that means cozy contentment, the feeling of warmth, togetherness, and simple pleasure, and it is the antidote to the American belief that happiness requires spending. In America, the default social activity costs money: dinner out, drinks at a bar, movies, concerts, events. The baseline for fun has a price tag, and that price tag adds up to roughly $3,000 per year per person. Denmark's answer to this is Hygge. Instead of going out, you invite people in. Instead of expensive experiences, you create inexpensive ones. Candles, simple food, genuine conversation. A couple in Minnesota applied Hygge for 1 year. They replaced most of their restaurant and bar spending with home-based social events. Their entertainment spending dropped from $2,800 to $600. Their social life? They said it actually improved. The research backs this up. Studies consistently show that the quality of social connection drives happiness, not the expense of it. A $0 evening with close friends scores higher on well-being than a $200 dinner with acquaintances. The financial habit is this. Before spending money on entertainment, ask whether connection or experience is the goal. If it's connection, Hygge almost always delivers it cheaper. If it's experience, spend intentionally. Denmark is also the world's most financially secure country by several measures. That security doesn't come from high salaries alone. It comes from a culture that found a way to need less to feel complete. Now we go to Switzerland, the country with the highest median household wealth in the world, and the one habit that underlies almost all of it: knowing your number. Habit 6. The Swiss concept of Genugsamkeit. Contentment with enough and its practical application, defining your personal enough number before you start accumulating. Most Americans have never asked themselves one fundamental question: how much is enough? Not how much do I want? How much do I actually need to feel financially free? Without that number, wealth accumulation has no finish line, and a race with no finish line produces one of two outcomes. You spend everything because there's no goal to protect, or you accumulate forever without ever feeling secure. The Swiss process of defining enough has 4 steps. First, what annual income would make you feel financially free? Second, multiply by 25. That's your freedom number using the 4% rule. If you need $50,000 a year to feel free, your number is $1.25 million. If you need $80,000, your number is $2 million. Simple math, profoundly clarifying. Third step, what does your current savings trajectory produce by retirement? Fourth step, if there's a gap, what do you need to change? This 4-step process is the entire Swiss financial planning system in miniature. Switzerland has the highest median household wealth in the world, not because Swiss people earn the most, but because they plan the most clearly. They know their number and they work backwards from it. Write your number down, right now if you can. Not the number you think sounds impressive, the number that would actually make you feel free. That number is your compass for every financial decision from now on. Habit 7 takes us to the outdoors. Specifically to Scandinavia, where an entire cultural relationship with nature has been quietly eliminating entertainment spending for centuries. Habit 7. Friluftsliv, a Norwegian word meaning free air life. The deeply held Scandinavian belief that regular time spent in nature, freely, without spending money, is essential to a complete life. Americans spend roughly $3,000 per year on entertainment. Scandinavians spend a fraction of that, not because they're deprived, because their entertainment system runs on something that's completely free, the outdoors. Friluftsliv isn't just hiking, it's the philosophy that the best things in life, fresh air, movement, nature, community, are not for sale. And building your recreation around that philosophy changes your financial life completely. A couple in Seattle applied Friluftsliv for 1 year. They replaced paid gyms, entertainment, and weekend activities with hiking, cycling, outdoor swimming, and community events. Their entertainment spending dropped by $2,400. Their well-being scores went up. The financial habit is simple. Build a default list of 5 free outdoor activities you genuinely enjoy. When the weekend arrives, go there first. Only spend on entertainment when those options don't fit the occasion. The financial math of Friluftsliv is striking. If you replace just $250 per month of paid entertainment with free outdoor activities and invest that difference, you accumulate $340,000 over 30 years at average market returns from walks in the park. Scandinavians also report significantly lower rates of anxiety and depression than Americans, and research consistently shows that financial decision-making improves dramatically when stress is lower. The outdoor habit is also a wealth habit. The habit doesn't require moving to Norway. It requires changing your default. Next weekend, before booking anything, before spending anything, go outside first. Give it 1 hour. See what that does to your impulse to spend. Habit 8 takes us south to Italy, where a simple but profound relationship with quality, not quantity, has shaped one of the most financially interesting consumer cultures in the world. Habit 8. Italy's philosophy of buy less, buy better. The Italians have a concept called la bella figura, the beautiful figure. It means presenting yourself with quality and intention, not quantity and speed. The financial application is this. Americans buy a $30 pair of shoes every 8 months. Italians buy a $180 pair and wear them for 4 years. The Italian shoes cost twice as much, but are 7 times more cost-effective per wear. This is called cost per use, and it is the most important calculation most Americans never make. Price divided by number of uses. A $200 jacket worn 300 times costs 67 cents per wear. A $40 jacket worn 20 times costs $2 per wear. Italian households keep major appliances for an average of 15 years. American households replace them every 7 to 8 years. Across all appliances in a home, that difference is tens of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. The habit is this. Before any purchase over $50, calculate the cost per use. Estimate how many times you'll actually use it. Divide the price. Buy the option with the lowest cost per use. Not the lowest price tag. Buy less. Buy better. Use it longer. That philosophy reduces spending by 20 to 30% for most people who apply it consistently, while simultaneously improving the quality of everything they own. Italy also gave the world the concept of the capsule wardrobe, 10 to 15 high-quality items that work together perfectly, versus the average American closet, 120 items, 80% of which are rarely touched. More clothes, less money, more stress. The average American spends $1,800 per year on clothing. The average Italian spends $1,100 on fewer, better items that last longer. That $700 annual difference, invested for 25 years, is $57,000 from a more organized closet. Before your next clothing or household purchase, ask this. Am I buying to replace something worn out, or am I buying to feel something? If it's the second answer, wait 48 hours. In Italy, that pause is cultural. In America, it has to be intentional. Habit 9. And this one might be the most controversial for American audiences, because it challenges something deeply embedded in the American dream. The idea that renting is always losing. Habit 9. Europe's relationship with renting. In Germany, more than 50% of people rent by choice. In Switzerland, 60% rent. Not because they can't afford to buy, because they've done the math. Americans are taught that renting is throwing money away. This is one of the most financially damaging myths in the country, because it ignores what you can do with the capital you're not using for a down payment. In high-cost markets, the true cost of homeownership, mortgage interest, property taxes, maintenance, insurance, can exceed rent for the same property by $800 to $2,000 per month. That difference, invested, builds serious wealth. This doesn't mean never buy a home. It means the decision should be made with math, not mythology. Europeans calculate rent versus buy carefully. Americans are told buying is always better before the numbers are even run. The European approach is this. Run the numbers for your specific situation every time. If buying wins mathematically in your market at your income level, buy. If renting wins, rent without shame. There's no universal answer. The financial freedom Europeans derive from renting in high-cost markets is real. The flexibility to move for opportunity, the capital freed for investments, the absence of maintenance costs. These are wealth-building advantages that the myth of homeownership hides. Here's how to run the rent versus buy calculation Europeans actually use. Take the purchase price of the home you're considering, multiply by 1.5%. That's your estimated annual true ownership cost, including taxes, maintenance, and insurance. Compare to annual rent for equivalent property. In San Francisco, a $900,000 home costs roughly $13,500 a year in ownership costs alone, before your mortgage. The rent for the same property? Around $36,000 a year. In this case, renting is $9,500 cheaper per year. That's $9,500 available to invest. In lower-cost markets, buying often wins mathematically. The point isn't that renting is always better. The point is that the answer depends on the numbers, not on a cultural story you were told at age 22. We're almost there. Habit 10. And it's the habit that holds everything else together. It comes from Germany again, and it has a name that sounds much more intimidating than the habit itself. Habit 10. Sparsamkeit. The German word for thrift, but not thrift as deprivation. Thrift as intelligence. Thrift as self-respect. Thrift is something a German grandmother would be proud of and brag about at dinner. In America, frugality carries a stigma. People who cut coupons are considered cheap. People who compare prices are considered overthinking it. The culture frames careful spending as a personality flaw. In Germany, comparing prices before a purchase is considered intelligent. Repairing something instead of replacing it is considered smart. Living below your means is considered admirable. The culture celebrates financial discipline instead of penalizing it. Sparsamkeit means spending money thoughtfully is a virtue, not a compromise. The German who spends 2 hours researching a purchase before buying isn't being difficult. They're being smart, and their peers respect them for it. The practical application of Sparsamkeit is building what Germans call a Preisvergleich habit, price comparison as automatic behavior. Before any significant purchase, check 3 prices. Buy the best value, not the most convenient option. Applied consistently across a year, Preisvergleich saves the average household $1,400 to $2,200 annually. Not from buying less, from buying smarter. And the deeper application, Sparsamkeit reframes how you feel about choosing the less expensive option. You're not settling, you're winning. The frugal choice is the intelligent choice, and intelligence is worth being proud of. Here's what Sparsamkeit looks like in practical American life. Before any purchase over $100, wait 24 hours. Compare 3 prices online. Ask whether you've already owned something that does the same job. This 3-step filter eliminates 60% of unnecessary purchases before they happen. The German who spends $2,000 less per year on impulse and unconsidered purchases and invests that difference from age 30 has $230,000 more at retirement than their American equivalent. From thinking before spending. That's it. That is all 10 habits. Schuldenfreiheit. Lagom. Utility over status. Time is wealth. Hygge. The enough number. Friluftsliv. Buy less, buy better. Renting is rational. And Sparsamkeit. None of these habits require you to earn more. None require sacrifice in the traditional sense. All of them require something harder. A different philosophy about what money is for and what a good life actually costs. And here's what happens when you apply all 10 together. The compounding effect of 10 philosophically aligned habits is not additive. It's multiplicative. Each habit reinforces the others. Sparsamkeit makes Schuldenfreiheit easier. Lagom makes the enough number more achievable. Hygge makes Friluftsliv more natural. Studies of Americans who applied 5 or more of these European habits consistently for 3 years showed average net worth increases of 34% without any increase in income. The philosophy does the work that income alone never could. One more thing before we close. If you're going to start with just one habit, start with the enough number. Because without knowing your destination, every other habit lacks direction. Write your number down this week. Everything else follows from that. The number changes everything. It transforms saving from a vague virtue into a specific mission. It transforms spending from random habit into a deliberate choice. It turns your financial life from a drift into a direction. Europe has been living by these principles for generations, not because life is easier there, but because the philosophy underneath the money decisions is fundamentally different. And philosophy, it turns out, is the most powerful financial tool there is. Open loop check. In next week's video, we're going to talk about what happens to your 401k when the market drops, and why the European approach to investment psychology protects wealth in ways that American instinct never does. Europe didn't figure this out because Europeans are smarter. They figured it out because their cultures never accepted the American premise that spending equals success, and that one rejection changed everything. You can adopt any one of these habits starting today. You don't need to adopt all 10 at once. Start with the one that stings the most. The one that made you think, that sounds like me. The goal isn't to become European. The goal is to borrow the philosophies that work and apply them to your actual American life, with your actual American income, in your actual American city. The families who've applied these habits in America report the same outcomes: less financial stress, more savings, better quality of life at lower cost. Not because they earned more, because they understood more. Wealth isn't built in one dramatic moment. It's built in the accumulation of small, philosophically consistent decisions made over years. Europe figured that out a long time ago, and now so do you. 10 habits, 10 countries, 10 philosophies built over centuries, all of them available to you, starting right now. If this video changed how you see your spending, your saving, and your relationship with money, subscribe. Because every week on this channel, we break down the financial systems most people navigate by accident. And if you know someone who is still waiting to feel like they earn enough to start building wealth, send them this video. They don't need to earn more, they need to understand more. Europe has been quietly getting this right for generations. Now it's your turn. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.